Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode and another season of Library Talks and everything else. We are so excited that all of you are joining us, whether you are a longtime listener or you're just discovering the show. We are so appreciative that you're back or that you are discovering the show for the very first time. Whichever your situation may be, we honestly thank you for making us part of your Thursday morning. So I'm really excited because I have two guests with me today. It's the first time I have two guests with me. The last time we had a show was on November 21st. And since then, a lot has happened. A lot has taken place. We went into the Thanksgiving holiday. We went into Christmas, New Year. We started the semester. And now we are back. And I look forward to another season of wonderful shows. So today I have very special guests. I have Mr. Enrique Castillo. Good morning, Enrique.
Hello, good morning, Joe.
And I have Miss Maya Chirinos.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to both of you. And Maya is a very special guest because she is my daughter. So I am so happy that she is in the studio with us. And we are going to have a wonderful conversation about the freshman experience. They are both freshmen. I want them to talk about their freshman experience. I want to hear them talk about how it went the first semester of school, the differences between this and high school, and where they see themselves going with their college education. So please join us after the music break. We are so happy that you're here. We're so happy that you are part of this show, and I am really looking forward to this conversation, looking forward to the second season that we started, and we'll get to talking about what this show is about if you are listening for the first time. And if you're a returning guest, you pretty much already know, but we'll go over refreshers that as well. So join us after the music break. You're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much again for returning to Library Talk and everything else. Just a couple of announcements before we get started with this wonderful conversation. Again, I have Mr. Enrique Castillo and my daughter, Maya Chirinos. I'm so happy that you guys are both here to talk about the freshman experience. But before we do that, and before we get to that conversation, a lot of our episodes have been uploaded onto the Vaquero Radio YouTube channel. So if you're interested in this show and all the other ones that Vaquero Radio produces, please, by all means, go check some of those out. There's some wonderful programming. We want to thank Student Media for their assistance in setting things up for us, for uploading those videos, and for everything that they do. So again, if you are a first-time listener, this is a research-based show in which we talk about research. We advocate for research. We enjoy research, and so we are going to ask a research question to my guests, and we're going to use it as a guide. We're going to use that as a way to navigate the show. If we don't answer it, it's a good conversation piece. We can take a look at it later. We can examine it another time, but we do encourage research, and we do push research as part of this show. With that said, we talk about anything and everything. We talk about any sorts of topics. So if you go back and listen to some of the other shows, you're going to hear shows that talk about fast food, shows that talk about the Twilight Zone, shows that talk about the Texas Lottery, and different things like that, but always with a research component behind it. So any stats, any statistics, but it's the same thing, right? Any stats, any data that we provide you is going to be researched beforehand. So again, thank you so very much for finding the show, and thank you so much for being a longtime listener. We truly appreciate us being part of your Thursday morning. So every Thursday at 10, please join us back for Library Talk and everything else. Okay, so I have these two guests here, and I want them to talk a little bit about their high school experience, but I wanted them, first of all, to talk about who they are, where they're coming from, where they graduate from high school, and to get to know them a little more. So again, good morning, Enrique, and we'll start with you.
Hello, Joe. So I started my academic career in BISD, and I graduated from Pace Early College High School. Unlike some students, I graduated with my associate's degree, and that really paved the way for me to enter college, especially now that I'm taking more advanced courses. I really think that something that I should have done better on in high school was really developing good study habits and also good time management skills, because I really find that as a college student, especially, you have to manage your time effectively, because you have a lot of free time as a college student, especially if you don't have a job. And that really led me to have a lot of free time, which can be both good, but it can be pretty detrimental to your academic career, because having a lot of free time usually means the kids like to nap, especially me, I like to nap, things of that nature. and that it can be detrimental to your academic success. And for example, me, I start this semester. My biggest goal is to create better study habits and better manage my time.
And that's great, Enrique. Thank you so much for sharing that. With Maya, I want to hear what you're coming from and what your academic standing is. And again, if you are and do not have any sort of college experience, please tell us about that and where you went to high school.
Hello. I went to high school at Hannah High School, and I graduated with only one college course that I did, which was speech, which I really liked, but it was online because it was my freshman year. But I really did enjoy the college class. I am a freshman this year, and I'm taking 7 courses. I'm taking 3 in online and then 4 in person, and I really enjoy them right now. And getting to experience my freshman year has really opened my eyes to different aspects in life.
Thank you so much. I think all of us come in with different experiences. Enrique, you said something really interesting. You said that you already have an associate's degree. So you have about 2 years left. So if everything works out the way it's supposed to, you have a degree by the time you're 20 years old, which is great. You know, that's fantastic that you are going to be that young with a college degree. Do you feel that that associate's got you ready for college? Do you feel like everything that you learned was and paved the way for what you're doing now?
Well, let me be completely honest with you, Joel. In high school, there is a big difference between high school professors and college professors. For example, one of the biggest differences that I can name you is that in high school, when I got my associates, at the end of the day, you're dealing with high school professors that are used to dealing with high school students. Kids that, to put it bluntly, they're not too worried. They don't have many complications. However, that can be it can be a little harmful because it kind of leads to high school teachers maybe they're always on you to, always guiding you through the process, always telling you guys, submit this assignment, submit this other assignment, do this, do that, study for this test. They always tell you things in advance. And the biggest thing, Joel, you see them every single day. You see your professors every single day. And that's something that when I got to college, even though people had told me, like, hey, this is what to expect, you're not going to see them every day. They're not going to be, they're not going to be after you the whole time. It's something that I struggled to get accustomed with. And it's one of the biggest things that I feel I should have prepared for. Because at the end of the day, the responsibility is mine to prepare for it. I should have prepared better, learned better study habits, and really learned to do things on time and complete my assignments.
And that's great. Enrique. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for your honesty because as we do go through high school, our teachers are preparing us in theory maybe about, hey, you know what, this is what's going to happen. No more free lunches, no more parking spaces. You have to pay for parking. You have to go find your classroom. So it's a little different. It is a different environment. And so I need to ask you real quick, and we are going to get to that research question because that's what we're going to use as a basis of throughout the show. But what are your majors and what is it that you want to do with your major that you've selected? And again, the thing about college is that can change at any moment. You go in there thinking, oh, I'm going to start with this, and then you discover a class that you hadn't even thought about and you go another way. So the thing about college is that it opens up those opportunities. It opens up a world of things that maybe you hadn't even considered. When I was younger, I had no idea I was going to be a librarian someday. But again, I started working at the library. I started enjoying it. I came in with wanting to do other things. And so, you kind of let college guide you in a lot of ways. But I want to ask you why you chose UTRGV and what is your major?
So I chose UTRGV mostly because it is close to home. I always wanted to study local. Leaving for college was never really an option for me. And that's why I chose UTRGV. And for example, my major is management. I'm trying to get a bachelor's degree in business management. And not because I want to have a corporate job or work in corporate America, but because I want to have my own business one day. I want to have my own up and running business one day. I'm kind of trying to follow in my parents' footsteps and have my own business as they do theirs. Um, to add to this, I really feel that my management degree is starting to help me out in many aspects to be able to help out with my parents' business. I'm taking a lot of accounting courses.
Good morning, everybody. We are back to Library Talk and everything else. I believe there may have been some technical issues, but we are back online, and we are so happy that you are joining us, and thank you for your patience. It is the first show of the new season, so please be a little patient with us and bear with us. But what we were going to look at as far as the research question was, how does meeting new people, a new environment, and academic support services impact the academic experience and success of a college freshman during their first year? Again, this is a research question that we're going to take a look at, and we're going to try to answer throughout the show. If we don't answer it, that's fine. It's a conversation piece, again, as I mentioned earlier, and it's something to guide the show. So I wanted to ask both Enrique and Maya, what are your majors, and what is your plan for the future using that major?
So my major is biology, and I plan to go to dental school. And having my own practice one day, I feel like I want to help my community, and here in the UTRGV, I feel like there needs to be more dental practice for people to go to.
Hello, I chose UTRGV because it is close to home and because of the fact that it's pretty cost effective. I never really wanted to leave. It's never really been an option for me, and that's why I chose to study here locally at UTRGV. I actually chose my major as management because I don't really want to work a corporate job. However, I want to have my own running business one day and follow in the footsteps of my parents who also have a business. I'm taking a lot of courses that I really feel are benefiting me in my business career. I'm taking things like accounting, statistics, things like these I feel are really preparing me for especially the business world here in America. And I chose that management because I've always had a type of want to have my own business. I've always kind of felt that I'm an entrepreneur of sorts, and that's why I chose my major.
So, Enrique, you say that you are getting a business degree, but maybe not necessarily use it towards anything like in a job within business, but more so that you can learn the skill set to open up your own business. And what kind of business do your parents have right now that you help them out with?
So my parents have a trucking business, and I would like to own my own trucking business one day as well because I see they're doing pretty good, and I like the fact of having my own stuff, having my own equipment, not really having a boss per se. I want to set my own schedule, work my own things, and I really feel like that's why I want to own my own business because I'd like to have that. Maybe one day have the luxury of being my own boss, working for myself, having time freedom, and just doing good in life,
And Maya, what about you? What is it that you want to pursue? What is it that you want to do ultimately while you're in college? Is there anything that you want to be involved in? Is there anything that you find interesting that you would maybe want to start your own radio show, maybe become involved in some sort of a club?
I do plan on joining more clubs, but I see that as later into my academic career, I guess. I want to join like the dental organizations, programs that they have here, because I think those would really benefit me and help me in the future.
Thank you, Maya. Okay, so the first question I was going to ask you, we're thinking about preparing the show. We're getting ready for what we wanted to ask you. And in my research, one of the questions that came up is, how are you finding the transition from high school to college different?
So, as I previously mentioned, the biggest change for me and the biggest transition has definitely been the teachers. In high school, teachers will really be there for you every step of the way. Not to say that college professors don't care, but they're less likely to kind of be with you there every single day, emailing you, being on your tail about it, like, hey, you guys need to submit your assignments, you guys need to do this on time. The way high school teachers, I'm often used to them doing, they would always tell us, hey, guys, turn in your assignments, or don't worry, I can open them up, like due dates, things of that nature. And the biggest transition has been the fact that in college you don't really deal with that as much. College professors are real strict. Some of them are nice, but some of them, they're strict on their due dates. And for example, there's a lot of high school professors that will open up assignments, or they'll be there telling you, guys, make sure you do it, guys, make sure you do it. And in college you don't really see that. It's mostly everyone just kind of, you need to find the time management within yourself to do it. And that's, I feel, the biggest change.
The biggest change that I've realized is the amount of independence that you get. You'll be in class for an hour and a half and automatically just have a lot of time in between classes. And during that time, I usually do homework, I study, and I think that really helps me for my future classes and just getting organized with my work.
And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, was about organization, because maybe in high school we can get away with not being so organized, and we can, like you said, Enrique, maybe our teachers are being a little more lenient, but this is at the college level. These professors are going to treat you like adults, and maybe a lot of times we're not treated like adults in high school because we're young, we're freshmen, we're sophomores. But because Enrique, you mentioned something, that you were part of the dual enrollment program, and you ended up already graduating with both your high school diploma and your associate's degree, and that was, I'm sure, a rigorous process that was different from friends that weren't going through that. So when you were, taking this, what was composition 1 and composition 2, and going through your basics, essentially, your friends were not going through that. So did you feel that stress? Did you know what it was going to end up being at the end, how you were going to be already 2 years into your college? I mean, you're going to be almost 2021 when you have your degree, and that's so young, and you already have your plans, kind of what you want to do. You want to start your own business. You have so many ideas, and I've known you for some time. I know how of an entrepreneurial spirit you have. You're always looking at ways to make money, and that's great. Always looking at what's the next thing that I can do to make some money, and so I know you're going to be successful, but you want to go through college first. And you have told us about some of the difficulties that you've had in some of your classes. Maya, you too. And I think that time management is so important because, like you said earlier, and I don't know if you can hear it when we were kind of broadcasting earlier, that you have too much time sometimes. That time between classes to take naps, to play games, to play video games, to hang out with your friends. Have you been able to kind of manage that a little bit better, both of you? Maya, I know, as my daughter, I see you studying all the time at home, and I see you back and forth in class, and I see you just really, really nail it down. Something that maybe I didn't see too much in high school from you or your sister, Miranda. Sorry, Miranda, if I'm putting you on the spot there, but college is different. And I'll admit it too. I didn't have to really do too much homework in high school. It was maybe too easy. And although they tell you and they prepare you for college and they're getting you ready for college, it is a totally different experience when you finally are in front of your professor and they're giving you all sorts of instructions and, like you said, are not giving you any, okay, make sure you remember your assignment is due next week. The syllabus is so important. Following what is going on online, those online classes, it's a totally different type of class now where you're not in a classroom, but your professors are giving you everything online. So I wanted to ask you about that. How do you feel about online classes versus the traditional classroom setting?
Honestly, last semester, I had 2 online classes, and I really struggled because last semester, as I previously mentioned, I did not have good time management. I, was using my free time not in smart ways. I was taking naps. I was hanging out with my friends. And this semester that's really going to change. I'm taking a couple of online courses, and I'm really seeing it as an opportunity to manage my time properly, because in online courses, especially asynchronous, there's no one really there to log into Zoom meetings or to check in on you. It's really just the way I see it. At least, you're an adult. There's things you need to do. Get them done whenever you have time, but make sure they get done.
Me personally, I really enjoy the online classes. Professors just post work, what you need to do for the week, and I really enjoy that because being organized is something very important. and I have a planner that I put all my work that's due. So I really do enjoy the online classes, and I feel like they really prepare you for other classes that you might take online as well.
I was never part of an online class. My collegiate experience was all through in person. But I want to ask you a question because have you met new people that have the same interest in you? And how do you manage that? How do you manage friendships? How do you manage relationships? How do you manage time? Because I'll tell you an experience. When I started college, and I'm going to date myself here, I started college in 1994. So it was quite a while back. I remember coming to orientation with my friends. We came to orientation together. Then, when school started, when the semester began, none of my friends were around and they ended up doing other things. And so, obviously, you mentioned you went to high school at Hannah, you went to high school at Pace. And so, you have your friends. Are your friends here, or have you managed to meet, like I said, new people and people with the same experiences that you've kind of gone through or same interests? So how do you manage some of that? And are you guys upfront with getting to know new people?
Well, one of the big reasons that I came to UTRGV was because a lot of my friends were going to come here. A lot of my close friends, my close circle, they're all here. They're all nearby. I know where to find them. I can call them up at any moment. And that's really one of the big reasons that I came here, because I wanted to be with my friends. However, when it comes to meeting new people, I'm not gonna lie, my social willingness to meet new people hasn't really been there. I don't really go out of my way to try and talk to new people, things of that nature. It's honestly a character flaw that I've been trying to work on, but I'm not gonna make it seem like I don't talk to anybody. Obviously, in class, I have my peers. You know, as I wouldn't like to call them friends, but they're peers or associates, people that I talk to, and more than anything, they help me out with. We kind of have the same struggles in the sense of, wait, I didn't understand this assignment, or, hey, bro, can you help me with this? Can you do this for me? I don't know. Can you help me study with this? Do you get this question? And that I have peers in that sense, and in pretty much all of my classes, I have friends that kind of do that. But when it comes to actual friends, I have a couple, and they're here at they're here at the university.
Last semester it was pretty difficult making new friends and talking to people because I didn't really know anyone in my courses. But I have made some couple friends, and I think it's very important having people that you know in your classes, because sometimes you're lost or you're confused about what to do and stuff. So yes, it was difficult in the beginning, but overcoming that boundary makes you grow as a person, and
I think that's so important, Maya, because what you're doing is you're networking. You're getting to know new people that, you know, are going to be throughout your academic career. You know, Enrique, you're a business major, so I'm sure that you see a lot of the same people that you saw last semester in a lot of your classes this term, right? And you'll continue to see them regardless of whatever field we go into, whether we're going to become teachers, whether we're going to become lawyers, or we're going to go study medicine. If that core group is in the same group, you're going to see them throughout your classes. And it's always great to have that core group. I remember when I was a history major, a lot of the same people that we kept having classes with are now teachers themselves, or now administrators. And it's a wonderful group of people that you start to network with and you start to get to know, because these are all sharing the same goals that you have. You know, you want to be in a business major, you're going to, you know, continue doing that with a lot of the same people. So we asked this a little bit before, we may have talked about this, but how do you manage that workload, and how do you do study time? I know we talked about that independence and that freedom of being able to do anything that you want after class. So you're probably going to get out of class right now, and you're maybe going to go to another class, or maybe you're going to have a break and you're going to go to lunch. And so, but it is hard, because I know what you may be thinking. You're sitting there in your classes and you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, I need 2 years of this left. You need 4 years of this left. And we all kind of go through it when we're in college. We all sitting there listening to our professor, and we're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to do 4 years of this. When my friends started working at Walmart, when my friends started working at Home Depot, and they're making pretty good money, yeah, maybe I can take some time off and kind of go work with them or for one of those companies. But I know it's really hard to see the big picture of what your college education is going to pay for. And you're sitting in class, it does go by very fast. It does go by very fast. You know, you are in the spring semester right now. We're already going into February. And by the end of April, beginning of May, it ends. So it's a very fast semester. So how do you guys handle that workload when it is that fast compared to maybe what it was like in high school? How do you prep? How do you organize yourself? Maya, I've known you since you were young, obviously, and I know you're so well at organizing things. And I see your notebooks and I see your backpack, and you're so, ready to go to class the first days, and that's always been great. But how do you handle that workload when it is so fast compared to maybe when it was high school that you had time, there wasn't that much pressure? How is it that you handle that now?
One of my biggest, I would say, flaws has always been organization. And the way that I'm combating that this semester is using my schedule to my advantage. For example, Mondays and Wednesdays, I have class in the morning, and I have about a 6-hour gap between my classes. And what do I do in that free time? I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I nap. But even after I nap, I still have time. So what do I do with that time? I apply myself and I study for what I have to study for. I do any homework I have missing, any assignments that I have to do, any emails I got to catch up on, anything regarding school. I always make sure to try and get it done. You were mentioning how the semester goes by fast, and there's a saying that I like to use that the days are long, but the weeks are fast.
I agree. The days do go by fast. As soon as you know it, the semester will be over. And I think the biggest thing that has helped me through the first semester was my planner. I think a planner is very important. I write down what's due, what for every class, what I have to do for that week. And just organizing yourself and making time for school is very important for your success in life.
Thank you so much. This is such a wonderful conversation, guys. And I know because of some technical issues, we may have not have as much time as maybe we wanted, but we are going to go to a music break. And I want to ask you a couple of other questions. And one of the best parts of the radio show that I like is actually going out and interviewing people and seeing what their experiences were like and seeing what they had to say. So we'll take a look at that when we come back from the break. Again, you are listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, we are back to Library Talk and everything else, and we are with Enrique and Maya Chirinos, my daughter, and I am so happy that they're both here. I'm so proud of them. I really am proud of everything that they've done, and I want to ask you guys, what has been a positive thing that you've experienced so far here in college?
One of the biggest things that I've experienced that are positive are definitely, more than anything, my friends. I know I see them very often here at the school. I always try to see them in between classes. I always try to stay in contact with them, especially since you don't see them as much after high school. They've honestly, they're really my sort of support system in a way. I kind of go with them every single week. I always try to make time for my friends because I like to see them and have a laugh or two, you know.
And so, thank you, Enrique, for sharing that. You know, we both have, well, all three of us, rather, not just me, but we all have some really good experiences here in college, but we also have those experiences that we wish we hadn't have to go through, you know, with school and with grades. And so we all kind of go through it. So it's kind of a similar feel when we are sitting in class worried about a particular test, worried about a particular grade. And so, yeah, it happens, and all of us kind of go through it. So how do you guys handle and cope with your stress levels when it gets too high?
I cope with stress by surrounding myself with my family. I think it's very important to be around the people that care about you and that love you unconditionally. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much stress school brings me, I know that I can always be with my family and they have my back all the time and know how to make me feel better.
And what is it that you both have learned about yourselves through this first semester of college? What is it that you take and what have would say, man, you know what? I didn't know that I could do this. I didn't know that this was in me. I didn't know that this was something that I could produce as a result of coming to college. So, what is something that you learned about yourself?
Well, I'm taking a certain class called statistics, and something I learned about myself that I didn't really think I could do, especially going my whole life. I never knew I was at least kind of decent at math. But that class is really math heavy, it's really algebra heavy. And something that this semester I've really realized about myself is that it's really possible, it's really doable, it's really doable work, it's really something that I can achieve.
One thing that I learned about myself through the first semester and continuing on, I've learned that I know how to balance all my classes because I am taking 7 classes right now, and it is really difficult, but I'm learning a balance how to do some assignments the one days and then my next class is the other assignments. So I think that's one thing that I've learned about myself.
You know, as freshmen coming in, a lot of times we don't know about the services that the university offers, and they offer an abundant amount of services. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you know where some of these services are housed? You know, counseling services, health services, career center, advising. Do you all know where some of these things are at? Because our freshmen come into school sometimes and think I'm just going to go to class and go home. But there's so many other things that happen on campus. There's activities, there's all sorts of events that go on. So do you guys know about a lot of these things, or do you feel you need to know a little bit more about them? Would like to see the university publish more information about them, or where they're at, where they're located, because everything is on the website. And so again, it's up to you to go look for it because now you're in college. No one is telling you, okay, go here, go there, go do that. But do you guys know all the different services that are available, and have you utilized any of those services?
To be honest, I probably only know a few services that are offered here. I know about the advising center and about the career center, but I am taking this class right now that shows you all the different programs and services that they offer here.
Honestly, the same answer for me. I don't really know too many of them. I try to find out when I need them, but the only really ones that I usually visit are, the advising center and the admissions office, things of that nature. I don't really go towards any of the other ones, mostly because I don't really go out of my way to inform myself, go to the website, see what they have.
And again, there are so many resources that the university offers, and take advantage of that, from library services to advising to counseling and health services and a variety of other things that are available, like you said, on the website. So kind of educate yourself on that because those are going to come in handy as you progress through your academic career. So one of the best things that I like about this show is obviously having some wonderful guests like the ones today and the ones I've had in the past. But one of the things that I really enjoy is going out there and asking individuals what they think about the certain topic that we're talking about. So today, my question was, what was your first semester of college like? And again, I'm not going to give you any names of these people that I interviewed, but I want to read you the responses. So again, the question I asked was, what was your first semester of college like? And here are the responses. It was a reality check for adulthood. I went to a school where I did not know anyone, and I was really lost, and I missed home. The next answer, was it was a very humbling experience. I failed 3 out of my 4 classes. Next person's response, it was very hectic, confusing, and complicated. Next person with the same question, I thought I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do with my life, but after the first semester, all my plans went out the window. Next person said, my first semester was great, and I had wonderful professors, and they were very approachable. And this last one was a little interesting, so I actually saved this one for the very end. Again, what was your first semester of college like? And the answer, my dad came to drop me off and walk me to my first class. I thought that was a very interesting and touching response from that student. We're going to play one more song, and then we're going to finish things up. I really always, this is the hardest part, is when we're running out of time at the end to continue such a wonderful conversation. But I do want to thank Maya and Enrique for being here today. We're going to hear one more song, and then we'll close it up at the end. So thank you so very much. Again, you're listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Thank you so much, everybody. We are getting ready to close out the show, and I want to ask another question here before we leave this episode. I want to ask you what you're most excited about for the rest of the semester.
I'm mostly excited to close out the semester and get good grades, hopefully get on the president's list. And mostly I look forward to learning from my classes, learning business skills and applying them in life.
I agree. I just want to finish the semester already, get good grades, and hopefully get on the dean's list again or even the president's list.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so very much. Enrique, Maya, you are always welcome to come back for another episode of Library Talk and everything else. I do want to promote the library because as a librarian, it is so important that you utilize the library for research, for your investigations, for your classes. If there's anything we can do to advance your research and support the research that you're conducting, by all means, come by and see us on the Edinburgh campus, on the Bronzeville campus. And again, we are so excited that you're joining us for the second season of Library Talk and everything else. We have so many wonderful guests coming, so many plans, and so many ideas that we want to do. So again, have a wonderful weekend, have a safe weekend, and we'll see you all back next week. Again, you were listening to Library Talk and everything else only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station.